History doesn't stay buried. It comes back with old photos, forgotten footage, strange headlines, and a reminder that bad decisions used to wear better hats. This is MasonZero's Living Archives. A fake tank is already a funny object. A fake tank that helps win a real war is history refusing to stay in its assigned lane. In the old photograph, the joke gives itself away. The tank has a turret, a cannon, painted markings, the general confidence of armor, and then 4 men are handling it like stage scenery. It is not a tank. It is a promise that somewhere an enemy observer will be far enough away to believe it. That was the job. During the last year of World War II in Europe, the United States Army built a secret deception unit around one dangerous idea. If a real army leaves signs behind, then a small group might be able to manufacture those signs and make a larger force appear in the wrong place. The unit became known as the Ghost Army. Its core was the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, with the 3133rd Signal Service Company joining the larger deception story. On paper, that sounds like a tidy military label. In practice, it meant inflatable tanks, fake artillery, false radio traffic, sound trucks, counterfeit shoulder patches, and soldiers pretending to belong to units that were not actually there. It was not one trick. It was a whole language of fake evidence, which is a sentence that should not feel like a war plan, and somehow does. The Ghost Army worked because armies are not invisible even when they try to be. They make noise. They move vehicles. They send radio messages. They leave tracks. They create rumors. They have patches, signs, command posts, traffic, and impatient men doing military chores in places where someone might notice. The 23rd tried to fake that ordinary mess. Visual deception was the most obvious part. Dummy tanks and equipment had to be placed where a real force might plausibly gather. Too perfect, and the scene looked staged. Too sloppy, and it did not look like an army. The trick was to make an absence look busy. Sonic deception added the soundtrack. Speaker trucks could project recordings of engines, construction, and troop movement across distance. Not mood music. False logistics. Radio deception gave the fake army a voice. Operators imitated the habits of real units, sending traffic that suggested formations were somewhere else. The lie had to sound boring, because boring is exactly what makes military communication believable. Then came impersonation. Soldiers wore the wrong patches on purpose. Vehicles carried misleading markings. Men moved through towns and let hints spread. The performance needed just enough human clutter for a scout, civilian, or intercepted report to complete the illusion. That is the real trick. The Ghost Army did not only hide the truth, it handed the enemy a better lie. This is where the joke gets heavier. The Ghost Army was not doing theater from a safe stage. In France, Luxembourg, Belgium, and Germany, these men worked close to the front. A rubber tank cannot stop a shell. A fake headquarters does not become safer because the paperwork is imaginary. If the enemy believed the deception and decided to strike it, the people holding the scenery paid in real time. That is why the photos should not be filed under charming wartime weirdness and left there. The props are funny because they are absurd. The job is serious because the enemy was supposed to believe the absurd thing was dangerous. During the Battle of the Bulge, later official findings credited counterfeit radio traffic from the 23rd with helping conceal movements connected to General George Patton's Third Army as it moved toward Bastogne. That was the point of the whole machine. Move attention, move caution, move fear. Attention is a battlefield resource. If the enemy watches the wrong road, guards the wrong crossing, or expects the wrong division, then fake evidence has created real time for someone else. Technically, they were manufacturing paperwork for someone else's panic. The largest payoff came in March 1945, with Operation Viersen near the Rhine. By then, the Allies were pushing into Germany, and river crossings mattered. A real crossing creates congestion, noise, exposed equipment, and terrible vulnerability. If German forces could be pulled toward the wrong stretch of river, The actual crossing had a better chance. For Viersen, later congressional findings described the Ghost Army and attached units impersonating two complete divisions, roughly 40,000 men, with fabricated radio networks, soundtracks, and more than 600 inflatable vehicles. That number sounds like a punchline until the purpose lands. They were not trying to build a beautiful fake army. They were trying to build the shadow of an army large enough to worry about. Imagine being asked to create the signs of 40,000 people. Not all the food, bodies, fuel, and fear. Just the evidence an enemy staff would expect to see. Enough vehicles to be counted. Enough radio traffic to be mapped. Enough engine noise to be reported. Enough wrong patches to make the rumor travel. It is a deeply strange kind of courage. It looks less like a poster and more like men pumping air into rubber, painting false markings, cueing sound, and trusting that the enemy will finish the picture in its own mind. The record does not turn the Ghost Army into superheroes. It leaves them as trained people solving a deadly problem with tools that bent perception. 3 soldiers of the 23rd died, and dozens were injured. That fact belongs beside every funny photograph of a tank light enough to lift. The secrecy belongs there too. The work stayed classified for decades after the war. Families often did not know the full story. Men came home carrying a record of service they could not easily explain, because the thing they had done was designed to disappear. In 2022, the Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal Act became law, honoring the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133rd Signal Service Company. The medal did not make the story true. It made the truth official enough to stand in public. That is why the old objects still have power. A patch, a medal, a dummy tank, a photograph of soldiers holding up something that was supposed to be terrifying from a distance. Fake and real are supposed to be opposites. Here, the fake tank is fake, the risk is real, the enemy reaction is real, the silence afterward is real, and the delayed honor is real. The Ghost Army worked because war is not only bullets and steel. War is also expectation. A patch can become a clue. Noise can become an order. A radio pattern can become a map. A rubber tank can become a decision. The question is not whether the Ghost Army was real. The question is how much reality a fake army needed before the enemy supplied the rest. Until next time, remember that history is mostly ordinary people doing ordinary things right before the consequences arrive. The past was not wiser, just less recently embarrassed. Thanks for watching.